You've seen them in movies. Bare-chested warriors shouting into the storm, facing an empire with nothing but bronze and bravery. But the real Spartans, they were something else entirely. And the truth is far more brutal. Long before Hollywood turned them into symbols of testosterone and freedom, the Spartans were real men, raised not just to fight, but to endure, obey, and dominate. This is the story of a warrior society unlike any other, forged by fear, ruled by discipline, and built on the backs of others. This is the legend behind the myth. In Sparta, your life didn't begin in your mother's arms. It began in judgment. Every newborn was inspected by the city elders. If you were weak, deformed, or sickly, you were discarded, left to die in the wilds of Mount Taygetus. Cruel? Maybe. But the Spartans weren't interested in kindness, only perfection. At the age of 7, Spartan boys entered the agoge, a brutal military training system designed not just to teach them war, but to strip away weakness, fear, and even family. They were whipped for mistakes, starved to teach them stealth, forced to fight one another. And the only way out was to become a weapon. By 20, a Spartan man became a full warrior, part of the most feared military force in the ancient world. They lived together in barracks, trained daily, and ate the infamous black broth, a stew so foul even visiting Greeks gagged at the smell. But that wasn't the point. Pleasure was weakness. Comfort was corruption. In battle, Spartans didn't fight like wild heroes. They moved like machines. Locked shields. Perfect formation. Zero fear. And above all else, you never dropped your shield. Why? Because a sword protected you. A shield protected the man beside you. Yes, there were 300 Spartans at Thermopylae. But they were not alone. Thousands of other Greeks fought alongside them. Yet it was the Spartans who held the pass the longest, who refused to retreat, and who died where they stood. Why? Because in Sparta, death in battle was the highest honor, and surrender was worse than death. Their women? Just as tough. A Spartan mother would say, "Come back with your shield," or on it. They weren't just wives and mothers. In a society where men were always at war, Spartan women managed the land, the slaves, and the politics. They were feared by outsiders for their pride, their strength, and their freedom. But all this discipline, all this glory, came at a cost. Sparta's strength depended on a massive enslaved population, the Helots. They farmed the fields, served the state, and outnumbered the Spartans by as much as 7-1. Every year, young Spartans were allowed, even encouraged, to kill Helots in secret as training. It was called the Cryptia, a silent war on their own slaves, to keep them afraid, to prevent rebellion. For centuries, this brutal system made Sparta the most feared name in Greece. But time is a ruthless enemy. Eventually, Sparta refused to adapt. They clung to tradition while others changed. And when Thebes, a rival city, defeated them at the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BCE, the myth of Spartan invincibility shattered. The warrior state never fully recovered. The Spartans weren't superheroes. They weren't freedom-loving rebels or action movie gods. They were disciplined, ruthless, and flawed. They built a society that worshipped strength and crumbled because it refused to change. But their legacy, their name, still burns in the minds of millions. Because somewhere, deep down, we all ask, what would we become if we feared nothing, obeyed completely, and lived only to fight? This was the real Sparta. And this was a legend of the past. Subscribe for more forgotten empires, fallen kings, and untold stories from history's shadows.